Agility, this is a test of noise and vocal strength. Taste great. The left side feels less filling.
Thank you. Can I please have Josiah Womack for the prayer, please?
Please rise, gentlemen, and fire heads. Dear Lord, thank you for assembling us here tonight, all his brothers and his sisters, that we may cherish your name and enjoy such a pleasant evening, even with the rain that has fallen. And that, even though it's our second to last day, that the experience here has brought us closer together. And that our friendship here may continue for days, weeks, years to come. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. Oh, guys, one more thing. Omar!
David Dollick, please come. I'm sorry, Dolly. Thank you.
Now I have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker for the evening. Pat McCune is the Director of State External Affairs for Consol Energy. In that capacity, he is responsible for Consol's government, public, and community affairs for West Virginia and Ohio. Mr. McCune grew up in Weirton, West Virginia. He is a former Hancock County Commissioner, as well as an elected state senator representing West Virginia's 1st Senatorial District. Mr. McCune has spent the majority of his professional career representing corporations in the public affairs arena. He has worked in various external affairs positions for Consolidated Coal, DuPont, and Norfolk Southern Railroad. From 1999 through 2010, Mr. McCune ran his own public and government relations firm. McCune and Associates represented the interests of corporations and businesses trade groups in the tri-state area of West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. McCune is a graduate of Wheeling Jesuit University. He resides with his wife, Margio, in Powell, Ohio. He has 2 children, Annie, a doctor of audiology in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Jimmy, a graduate student at Ohio State University. Now, with my great honor, I present Pat McKean.
Is this working? Thank you very much. I wish my name was Omar. Who is Omar? Where is Omar? Why are they cheering for him? Thumbs up or thumbs down for Omar? Omar, thanks for let me use you for a little bit. Thanks to you. One thing is patently clear to me tonight: you are all far greater cheerleaders than you are singers or dancers. Listen, I want to tell you how much I appreciate the invitation to talk to you this evening. I want to congratulate you all for your role here on Invoice Day. It is quite an honor to be selected to this institution that's been around. I think Jim Davis told me 77 years, Jim, in West Virginia. So there's a long tradition, a long history of citizenship, participation in organizations that is important that places such a great importance on academics, spirituality, success, and citizenship. And the citizenship part is very important, as you all know. I think you all recognize that it's a testament to your ability and your understanding that in a free, democratic society, that people have to be involved. That there are duties, responsibilities. Is that still on? Yes. Duties, responsibilities, and obligations that we all have to live in a free society and to maintain a free society. And I'm sure that your week here has taught you very well how important, how critical that is for all of us if we are to progress as a society and as a nation. So on behalf of Consol Energy, one of the sponsors of this week's Boyd State, I want to congratulate all of you. I hope you had a great week. I hope you leave here with a greater value system for this country, its benefits, and its state, and you embark on a career that keeps you involved in the political system, keep you involved in local government, state government, federal government, because it's critically important. I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about Consol Energy and the changing face of the energy world in West Virginia, and what it means for those working in the field, what it may mean for all of you as you mature out of high school, get into college, or begin your work world, and the effect it may have for all of you, good and bad. Consol, who knows about Consol Energy here? Has anyone ever heard of Consol? It's good to know. Consol's been around for 150 years. 150 years this year. It started in 1864 in West Virginia. A coal operator consolidated their assets into one company called Consolidation Coal Company. It's been around for 150 years. About 145 of those years, it's been predominantly a coal producer. It was the largest underground coal producer in the world, in the United States for years. It operated longwall mines, which I'm sure some of you heard of, but operated mostly in the mid-Atlantic states: Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Illinois, Indiana, and a mine in Utah. Very successful, employed thousands of people. The state with the most production was West Virginia for many, many years. A lot of older mines in southern West Virginia, and 5 large longwall mines in north central West Virginia that were sold last year to Murray Energy. Consol had a shift in its business plan and decided in 2013 that they needed to sell 5 coal mines in Mountaineer, Harrison, Marion counties to Murray Energy, and make kind of a dramatic shift in its production of BTUs from coal and embrace the new world of called, that you've all heard of, the Marcellus Shale and natural gas production in West Virginia. But what brought that change on was an ever-increasing hostile atmosphere, regulatory atmosphere in Washington towards the burning of coal. There have been plant closings, coal-fired power plants, baseload plants that produce 500 to 1,000 megawatts that have been closed in this state, in Ohio and Pennsylvania. You've all read about them. Clean air comes with a cost, folks. And sometimes a dramatic cost. Loss of jobs, higher electric bills, higher gas bills, and a loss of employment. But we've been blessed in this state for many, many years with coal deposits and coal reserves. And about 15 years ago, we found out that we had this big shale rock underneath of us called the Marcellus Shale. And it is big. You've heard a lot about it. I don't know if you have any understanding where it runs. It runs from kind of the northern panhandle down through north central and east central part of West Virginia over to Barber and Upshur County. It is a deposit about 7,000 feet. It contains huge volumes of natural gas and natural gas liquids. You'll hear a lot in the coming years about the rich liquid part of the shale, which is kind of on the western side of the shale play in West Virginia. So Consol made a strategic shift that it was going to keep its most, about 30 million tons of coal production in mostly southwestern Pennsylvania, which is the Bailey complex, produces about 25 million tons of coal, BMX, Enlow Fork, and the Bailey mine. It keeps a very valuable asset in southwestern Virginia called the Buchanan mine, which produces metallurgical coal, which is a high-grade coal that's used in steelmaking throughout this country and throughout the world. Unfortunately, Asia and the United States and some of the most efficient steel producers aren't using that much metallurgical coal. The steel industry's been in a slump for the last 2 years. Consequently, a lot of metallurgical coal mines have been shut down, or employment and production has been reduced significantly. Consol also has a coal port that ships about 16 million tons of coal each year to Asia and to Europe through a port in Baltimore that we control and that we own. Now, why is that important? Because it's extremely difficult in an environmentally sensitive world, and especially in an environmentally sensitive United States of America, to permit a coal loading facility today. They've been trying to do it on the West Coast now for 15 years, and it's nearly impossible. So we kind of control our own destiny by keeping that asset. So let me talk to you about the Marcellus and what it means for West Virginia, and hopefully for all of you. I know that Governor Tomlin spoke to you this week. Senator Manchin has talked about this Marcellus development being a game changer for West Virginia. And I think they're absolutely right. It is in its infancy. We're seeing a lot of development, a lot of gas wells from Brooke County down through Upshur, Barber, Doddridge, Ritchie, Marshall, many new employees working in the field. The liquid-rich areas will develop, and there'll be many processing plants. That if any of you have traveled up into the northern section of Marshall County, they have 3 processing plants now that take the components out of the natural gas, the butanes, the ethanes, the isopropanes, the propanes, and they sell them into various markets. So this gas that's underneath of us, not only does it heat your homes and send gas to industries, but it also has these 4 or 5 components that are shipped out to world markets that add value and revenue and jobs and the future of growth to West Virginia. What does it mean for all of you? All of you are juniors. I presume most of you are juniors in high school. This is a big summer for you. I'm sure that some of you are going to be visiting the colleges of your choice, probably getting a short list and determining where you want to proceed with your higher education next year. It is our sincere hope at Consol and in other natural gas producing companies that this shale development and this Marcellus development offers you some hope for employment in West Virginia. For too long, we've exported our youth, we've exported the young people that want to go work in other fields. We've sent kids to Charlotte, we've sent our kids to Pittsburgh, Columbus, and points throughout the South. I'm hoping that at some point, the big hope of the development of the Marcellus Shale and these assets mean that you will see a rebirth of the manufacturing segment of this country that has been lost over the last 20 years. That's the ultimate hope. That's the ultimate objective of all of this. I mean, hopefully we see chemical plants back in to the High Valley and see steel plants producing steel again. That once made us strong and proud and gave people a good standard of living that somehow has fallen from all of us and from the state in the last 20 years. You've heard a lot about the cracker. You probably don't know what a cracker is. It's a phrase for a large petrochemical facility that cracks a chemical process where they take ethane that's in this Marcellus shale and they turn it into something called ethylene. Ethylene is the food stock for the petrochemical industry. And we have a Brazilian company called Odebrecht who's going to put a multi-billion-dollar facility in Wood County. And a lot of these gas wells that are producing in Harrison and Lewis and other places are going to be sending that ethane down there. They're going to be turning it into cheap ethylene. And instead of all of us sending these things to the Gulf Coast and to Canada and overseas, that hopefully we will develop a cheap feedstock for the manufacturing community, and we'll see jobs and investments and plants locate throughout West Virginia, and give you hope that if you want to stay in West Virginia and you want to have a good job, there will be some available for you. I mean, that's our hope. That's Consol's hope. A snapshot about Consol's interest. We're embarking on a very ambitious natural gas drilling program. We purchased 85,000 acres from Dominion Transportation right underneath of us here in Harrison and Lewis County. This is a large portion of Consol will begin in 2016 to be drilling through the ground we're standing on and building laterals out for a couple of miles in each direction, capturing the gas and the liquids that are hiding beneath us at about 6,000 or 7,000 feet. We're going to be drilling new wells on the Pittsburgh Airport. If any of you have flown out of Pittsburgh Airport, you know it's not quite the hub that it used to be when U.S. Air pulled out about 10 years ago. So they decided to lease 9,000 acres to Consol, and we're going to develop those fields. And that's going to be a very successful shale play for us. We've got two joint ventures with Noble Energy. Noble Energy is the drilling partner for Consol in the liquid-rich areas of the Marcellus, which means that most of that on the western side of the shale will be developed by Noble Energy, sharing the costs and sharing the profits and revenues with Consol. And we also have a partner called Hess Corporation. It's a large oil conglomerate that is a joint venture in the Utica, which is across the High River. It is very similar shale rock that lies underneath the old coal fields west of the Ohio River in some of the about 30 counties of Appalachia in Ohio. So these field shale plays, you'll hear a lot about them. They're going to be very successful. They're capital intensive. They're going to play out over the next 20 years. But I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity for those of you who want to enter into that field. Engineering, the sciences, health, business management. There's going to be a place for you to come home to if that's what you want. And that's the great promise that we want to deliver to the state and to all of you. You're our best and our brightest, and we don't like to export our best and brightest. We like to keep them home. So we're hoping that we can do that. Randy Alpert used to be the chief operating officer of Consol, and he has spoken to this august group the last 2 years, and he told me that he was always, he figured it was a chance to give a little bit of advice. I'm going to use the bully pulpit to give you a little bit of advice from somebody who's got about 35, 40 years on most of it. You're going to be going to college in a couple of years from now. Please, 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 use your college loans wisely. I hope that all of you are blessed and you can find scholarships. You've got parents that have saved for college education, but many of you won't, and you'll have to use college loans. There's $1 trillion of debt outstanding in this country today by millennials, people who are 21 to 30. half generation removed from you, that are staggering, that are reeling from college debt. Personally, my daughter has a friend from Santa Barbara that went to Ohio State with her for 6 years. She has $130,000 worth of college debt. And she's a social worker making $26,000 a year. She can't buy a house, she can't buy a car. She's stuck making minimum payments to the institutions that loaned her the money. It is a scourge on our young people, and I would encourage all of you to be very, very wise in your use and application of college loans. My other piece of advice to you as you embark on your college career, some of you going out into the workforce, is the power of appearance and language. Don't ever dismiss it. I'm afraid that some of your colleagues, some of your friends have lost the art of conversation and grammar and how important it is in the work world. You can't talk in acronyms. You have to converse. The command of the English language is an important tool as you leave high school and go out into the work or the academic world. So make sure that you have command of the English language. And folks, appearances matter. Unless you're Birdman Anderson for the Miami Heat, and you got a 40-inch vertical leap and you get 15 rebounds a game, you can't go all tatted up in the job interviews, folks. If you're artsy and you want to paint and draw, it doesn't matter if you have tattoos and piercings and you can't talk, because people in the artistic world, that's kind of looked upon as normal, weird but normal, and you get away with it. But you can't get away with it in corporate America. I mean, it does mean something. So it's critical for all of you, I think, that you have command of the English language, that appearances do matter, know your subject matter, know what you want to do, have some passion for whatever you want to pursue in this world, and I wish all of you the best of everything. This is, like I said, this is the best and brightest that West Virginia has, and we wish you all the success in the world. And Consol's extraordinarily pleased that they can be part of this. I'm going to stop right now, because when I was coming over a daunting song, I heard that there were only 2 more days left, and we don't have to see your ugly face anymore. And I'm going to take that as a sign that it's time for me to leave the stage. But before I do, I want to ask, does anybody have any questions about Consol, energy, or anything I've talked about tonight? Yes, sir. Noah?
I was wondering what steps, presuming that the process to extract natural gas would be a hydraulic fracturing or fracking, what steps are Consol Energy and the state legislature taking to ensure the safety and environmental health of the Marcellus Shale area?
Well, I mean, there are certain requirements that are an obligation of your permit application. I mean, you have to show that you're casing your pipe. You have to show where you're drawing your water from. You have to show, in recent months, the producing community has agreed to release the data, the chemicals that are used in the fracking compounds that we're using to extract the gas and the natural gas liquids from the shale play. There have been some mistakes made, that sometimes there's unexpected methane releases, but most very responsible producers will do everything they can to make sure that they comply with all applicable rules, regulations, and go the extra mile in case things. They know, you'd be surprised how much they know what's underneath this ground. Geologists have everything named as like cities underground. They know where aquifers are, they know where bad rock is, they know where good limestone is, and I think it's a testament to those folks that haven't read about any disastrous fracking here in West Virginia. And even some of those fracking stories that you heard are disputable fracking claims. Disputable. But the state does a good job requiring an investment in safety standards and in drilling techniques and transparency in the drilling fluids and the manner by which we frack. And I think that the permit is an energy producer's currency. If you can't get a permit, you can't drill, you can't hire people, you can't make money, and your shareholders don't earn a dividend or a return. So we take that very seriously. Does that answer your question? Sounds a little bit like trust me, but I think that we've got a good track record in West Virginia. There was another question back there.
Back here.
Yes, sir.
Nathan Jesser, I'm not advisor. You said Consol sold five. How did they choose which ones to sell?
They sold five coal mines here in north central West Virginia that basically sold coal into the domestic thermal market. In other words, it wasn't export coal, it wasn't metallurgical coal, but it was coal that was used for domestic electricity production here, mostly in the South and in the Mid-Atlantic states. And part of the reason why those were sold, they're world-class assets, world-class assets. Consol said that repeatedly. Because of the environment, because of the federal regulatory climate and environment, which is not that good, I think all of you know that Consol's assets were extremely undervalued in the public markets because people didn't like the risk of owning coal reserves and not knowing if those reserves were going to return an adequate return 10 or 15 years down the road. So the value of Consol's assets were pulled down, the value of the stock, was not there, and there was a belief that we need to sell these assets, take the money and the revenue of the $3 billion deal with Murray Energy and invest it heavily into the gas plays, where we think that the future holds a far greater return and a greater chance for future development. Yes, sir.
Corey Hollinger from Gary.
Hi, Corey.
And my question was, you mentioned that companies are starting to disclose what they're using in their fracking fields. Is there a way where people can see those? Like a website?
Yeah, there is a website. I wish I had it with me. And there is a website. It is available online. You can see what everybody's using. What you don't know is the mix. I mean, you see the material and the compounds, but you don't know how many teaspoons or how many gallons. I mean, that's kind of proprietary information that people like to keep to themselves because it's an important tool in their production techniques. But there is a site. I'll get that for you. If you give me your name and your website, I'll send it to you.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So, what regions of county of Virginia does the best promise for Marcellus oil energy?
Well, early on, the Marcellus primarily has, it's liquid rich in everything but oil. I talked about propane, butane, isobutane, ethane. The Marcellus is rich in those components. If you move across the High River, you've heard a lot about the Utica development over there, and that has a certain oil and a condensate level that comes out of that natural gas. And that's being separated in facilities in Marshall County. There's 3 facilities: Williams, Dominion Blue Racer, and one other facility there that's kind of taking that oil that's produced from the gas in eastern Ohio. But there is geologically the Utica formation is beneath the Marcellus in West Virginia. It's just much deeper to get to. But as we develop new techniques, I'm sure that in 5 to 10 years, we're going to be drilling through the Marcellus into the Utica on this side, and perhaps extracting some condensate and some oil here that'll make the financials of an expensive drilling process extremely attractive. Yes, sir. In the green.
Yeah, my name is Preston. Actually, I'm from Upshur County.
Hi, Preston.
I'm rural cottage there. Why is it so hard to convince people, legislators, congressmen, and Senate people that no matter what, there are repercussions to everything. There are pros and cons to everything. But why is it so hard, like your job, why is it so hard to convince people that fuels like propane, butane, isobutane, things like that, they're like, they're clean burning fuels. Why is it hard to explain to them, the benefits, the exponential benefits of using clean burning fuels? How do you deal with that?
Oh, it's a tough balancing act. It really is. I mean, I represent the coal industry. I mean, 2 years ago, I represented primarily the coal industry. And we were getting beat on the head in Washington every day. Every day. You've read about it, the war on coal. It's real. It hurts. It affects your asset. It affects employment. It affects the future of your assets. And okay. And I think Consol made a strategic decision recognizing that perhaps we can change the way people in Washington feel. So we're going to de-risk the company and we're going to invest some of our assets into this burgeoning natural gas markets in the Marcellus and the Utica Shale. And we're going to provide a cheaper, cleaner energy, which is natural gas fired. And the coal assets that we have remaining will go to the most highly technologically advanced, large base load electric plants that have the most recent technological improvements, and hopefully we'll be able to burn that coal, into the future. But the problem is that threshold changes all the time. You plan every 5 years ahead, so if you're AEP, if you're Duke Power, or your First Energy, and you think that the rules are set for the next 5 years, sometimes Congress throws you a curve, or some regulator at the DEP throws you a curve and says, no. By year 2030, you got to improve by 30% of the 2005 level, and that's what we're experiencing now. And that's why you're going to see a little bit of a shift in assets, and there'll be some plant retirements because they won't be able to pay to upgrade them to a level that's going to allow them to burn coal.
Thank you, Mr. McKeon.
Listen, thanks very much for your time. I hope you're going to get
Sure. On behalf of Boise State and myself, would like to present to you this hat. Mountaineer Boise State hat. This Mountaineer Boise State pin, or coin, and Mountaineer Boise State pen, as well as the bag.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
I go to Charleston next year. I'm gonna lobby on behalf of Boise State. Air conditioners in every dorm and new mattresses.
We can't ask for more wonderful support than that. Now, next we have another speaker, Chelsea from Inspire, West Virginia. I'm not going to go into depth about this because she's getting ready to present her program. So, again, they're a voters registration program and they're going to talk to you tonight. So, Chelsea.
Hopefully, we have a lot of you come and register to vote, and we still have registration forms. If after this you still want to register to vote, you can. So, we are Inspire West Virginia, and we're here today to talk to you guys about our organization. And hopefully, after you learn about us, you're going to understand kind of the connection between Boise State and our organization, and hopefully you want to apply to be a part. And actually, there's 2 of our boys here, which we are very excited about. So hopefully we can increase that number after you learn about us. Also, thank you so much to the Legion and the staff who invited us here to speak today. We're very grateful for this opportunity. And I have to admit, we have one of our bosses, we have an Inspire Arizona out in Phoenix, Arizona. And he's an Eagle Scout all the way. And when he learned that we were coming to Boise State, he's like, oh my God, Chelsea, they're the best Boise State in the whole nation. You know that? So you guys can be proud of this. definitely. So, we're just going to talk to you briefly about kind of what we are, who we are, and why you might want to get involved. So, Inspire West Virginia, we're a nonpartisan youth leadership organization. We were founded in Arizona, and kind of like Boise State, we were the second in the nation to come to West Virginia. And we're currently in Kentucky also with Inspire Kentucky. And the hope is that we're going to be a nationwide organization in the years to come, which is really exciting. And so state by state, we're creating opportunities for high school juniors and seniors to really turn their inspiration that you already have inside you into action through civic action projects and voter registration drives at your schools and in your communities. So it's really a wonderful opportunity to learn a little bit deeper of the aspect of getting involved civically in your communities and then really what it means to vote and have that right to vote. So we're a year-long organization where we follow you throughout the school year, which when we were thinking about coming here to talk to Boise, it just makes sense that it's kind of the next step going on from Boise to be involved with Inspire West Virginia. It gives you the opportunity and that guidance to work with other students at your schools and surrounding schools to work on these civic and community service projects. So, let's talk about West Virginia civic health. I'm sure a lot of you could probably guess that we're not very healthy in terms of civics and civically. We're not healthy. So, I'm just going to ask you a question. Where do you think that we rank in overall voter turnout? So this is out of 51. Where do we fall? Okay. So what do you think about volunteering? Where do we rank? You guys, I'm hearing lower numbers. You think even more poorly about West Virginia. So, in terms of the youth vote, now when we say youth vote, we're talking about 18 to 29-year-olds. In the 2012 election, where do you think we ranked? 50th? We were dead last. So that's the main point that we want to focus on. Our youth are not voting. Granted, that's not quite a lot of you guys. It's more our generation that had those statistics. But that's why we wanted to come talk to you today. You're a group of already wonderful citizens and feel like you're a little bit one step above the average high schooler. And so we hope that you can really learn about this and kind of take it back to your schools and inspire others. So, like I said before, we might be the worst in voter turnout rates, but rumor has it that we're the best in Boise State. So we're really presented with a unique opportunity, and you guys are presented with a unique opportunity to get involved in both organizations. So I was trying to think about how can we visualize these statistics. So I know you all had the primary election on Monday. So in 2010, when the primaries rolled around and West Virginia's the youth vote came up, only 22% of us cast a ballot. So if we were looking at Boise State on Monday, only about 77 of you would have voted, which is pitiful. And then, you all aren't pitiful, but so then. You guys had your general election, correct? So in 2012, when we had the general election, usually you expect to see an increase from the primaries to the general election. Sadly, West Virginia only increased 1%. So that Leadership Academy, which is what we call our kind of Boys State program, our leadership program. And it's going to be our kickoff program at Marshall University this July 15th through the 17th. And right now, we're still recruiting students for one more week. We're accepting applications. And we are trying to recruit 3 juniors and seniors from each school, so 3 students max from each school. And you can become an inspired leader. And so as an inspired leader, you would go back to your schools and work on these civic action projects and voter registration drives in your schools and in your communities at home. And you can apply by that website. Hopefully we'll get a little blurb in the newspaper so you guys can get the link to this website, but that's where our application is online. And so just like briefly about our Inspired Year, that's what we have titled it, the Inspired Year. It's a year-long participation, and it kicks off with the Leadership Academy in July. And so like I said, 3 students, we're trying to get 3 students to attend from each high school involved. And right now, initially, we were only starting around counties in Charleston, because that's where we're based out of, with the hope that it would be a statewide program next year. But we were just at Hobie. I don't know if any, hopefully a lot of you know. Lindsay sat on a panel at a Hobie event last weekend. And we've gotten applications from up north, people from Fairmont and Marion, and so we're getting more. We're increasing the statewide, so even if you're not around Charleston, we still encourage you to apply and get involved. And so you would be working on these voter registration projects and civic action projects at your school. So, that is the gist. I guess I'll open. Does anyone have any questions about who we are, what we do? Omar.
I have a question.
Yes.
How much does it cost to go to your program at Marshall University?
It costs nothing. Except you have to get there. So you have to drive there, your parents have to drive you, or you have to ride with a friend. We don't cover the cost to get there, but all expenses are paid. We're going to be staying at Buskirk dorms. And it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to meet a lot of different other students from around the area, and we hope it's going to be a great experience.
Yes. Is it a co-ed?
Yes.